Hello friends, my name is Shivam from DevOps Schools and I will help you to enable your learning process in various technologies of DevOps, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data and many more. This is our initiative to help you by sharing multiple tutorials and videos. And if you want any specific tutorials or any particular topic, then please do comment in the below comment section and I will help you with it. Also, please subscribe to our premium services on YouTube, which will give you access to more content and videos to enhance your knowledge about all these topics. Also, if you want me to help you with regards to the online trainings and classroom sessions by our qualified trainers, then please do write me at contact@devopsschool.com. Thank you.
There are like scaling limits. As for example, you are working on big data, as for example, right, where you need a huge number of devices and all, and you are working with a terabytes and of data every time. That in that particular case, you need a kind of a subscription which can scale up to that limit. Okay, so that needs a different kind of subscription. So, and then there are different administrative management, HR, legal. So they do not need that kind of, we talked about that. They do not need that kind of, you can say, 24/7 subscription, and kind of a very complex kind of subscription with, say, a 1 TB hard drive need or something. They need a kind of a, when you talk about AWS, free tier kind of thing. For them, free tier is enough. Okay, but if you are a developer, you need an AWS instance with say 8 GB RAM or 16 GB RAM maybe. So it depends upon your need and all that. So different depending upon that, uh, and you consider the policies, network and all. So different things are getting considered. As far as one thing that I use this term as well, one side doesn't fit all the subscription. So based on that, and in exam you are going to have these kind of case studies. Okay, what you will do in this situation? Okay, what will happen if this is a scenario, and we will see at the end of this particular uh, kind of session. At the end of that, we will see a kind of a case study. We will see a case study where we have this. Guys, clear till now overall? Are you getting whatever we are discussing?
Yeah, Kunja. It's clear so far.
Okay, good. Now, one of the things that is important when you talk about resource group, one of the things that is important is, let us see resource groups. So resource group, when you say that, okay, you might have heard about a reason, right? So maybe within a resource group, okay, there will be multiple resources. Okay, this is a kind of very interesting thing and important to understand. Within a resource group, there there will be multiple you can say resources. Let us take virtual machines. So multiple virtual machines will be there. These virtual machines can be part of different regions. As for example, this is say US region. So US Virginia maybe region, and this is in, say, Singapore. Possible. Within a resource group, there can be resources which are in different regions. This is possible, but resource group has its own reason. Okay, resource group has its own reason. What is the reason of the resource group? The so when you say the metadata, right, it is a kind of a configuration data related to the resource group. Okay, As for example, what are the devices that comes under the resource group? Or you can say, yeah, so allocation of the devices within that. So those kind of data, the configuration data is called metadata. Okay, and the reason where that metadata is stored is the reason of the resource group. Okay, so the resource group and these resources can be part of different reason. What is the reason of the resource group? The reason of the resource group is the reason where its metadata is kept. Okay, its metadata is kept. Okay, and this what is the reason of this particular you can say resource or virtual machine is the place where this the physical device is stored, is the data center where the physical device is stored, and this resource group and this resource can be part of different reason, number one, and these two resources which are the part of the one particular resource group can be from different regions. Is this clear?
Yeah, Kunya, it's a good you know thing to know. Like, okay, a resource group. I always had this question, but I never got maybe I never tried it. But this
Yeah.
is good thing to know.
Okay, so now let us go back to the points that they mentioned. Resource group have their own location region assigned. This region is where the metadata is stored. This is what I mentioned. If the resource group's region is temporarily unavailable, as for example, the region is down, right? What will happen? You cannot update the resources. Why? Because the configuration is there with that. So you cannot like delete the device or you cannot make changes in the device. Okay. So what will happen? The next question that comes is what will happen? What is the number one is where what is the reason of resource group where metadata is stored? Number two is what will happen? The reason of the resource group is down. Will the devices go down? No, they will not. They will continue because it has nothing to do with that with the devices. Metadata is not available. You cannot update resources. Okay, you cannot delete, you cannot update the resources. So the resources will function as expected, but you can't update them. Again, number one point, resources and resource group can be from different regions. The reason of resource group is the reason where its metadata is stored. In case the reason in which resource group is down, it means that you cannot update the resource. Your resource will be up and running, or whatever the state is, that state will remain. Okay, resources in the resource group can be in the different regions. I mentioned this. A resource can connect to resources of other resource groups, right? So as for example, this is interesting. Now this is interesting, let us talk about it. Let's talk about this particular thing.
So that means we can't control the placement of the resource group, correct? The metadata.
What do you mean by the placement of that? Means when you define a
There is
resource
no
group,
placement. There is no placement, right? It's a metadata. It's been created anywhere.
in a particular region from where the resource group is, when you define a resource group, there will be a reason you will define at the time of creation of that. So
Okay.
what that reason will mean that the reason where its metadata will be stored. So you have control at the time of creation of it. Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Got it.
yeah, that's why you will know, right? When we say that what is the reason of resource group, so what it means basically, a region where a region where its metadata is stored, and you have control, right? When you are defining a resource group, you set a region there. What it means,
Yeah.
this is what it means. Okay.
Okay. It's
Now,
a
yeah,
piece of metadata. It's a piece of metadata where all the resources are located. If it is not available, then not a problem. Only thing is you can create, delete, modify, actions.
can you come again? It's a piece of metadata.
Yeah.
Can you get
It's a piece of metadata about the resources has been deployed underneath. And in case if resource group is not available, you are not able to modify, delete, or create any resources underneath, correct? As you mentioned.
you cannot do that. That's correct.
Yeah.
You cannot
Yeah.
create, delete, and that. It's a kind of a configuration, right? It's a kind of your config file, that what are the configuration that is there. It's a, in development term, think about a config file. Okay, so if config file is gone,
Got it.
okay. Now we were talking about one of the important concept. Yeah. Let us. Okay. Now there is one resource group, and say there are. Yeah. So what I'm trying to do is that there is a, you can say resource groups and different devices are part of that group. Now it is possible, like this is you can say you can have in an application, you can have your databases, right? Database is there. Okay. And this database resource group, as for example, so this resource group has different machines and which is acting as a database, as for example. And then you have another resource group. Kati laliya? 10 minutes. Okay. So now you have I'm trying with the diagram. Let me try. Maybe something. Now you have a different resource group where application is there, right? And this has, your application is up and running, and then definitely there is a need of communication to and fro between your application and your database. Okay. So maybe something like that. Okay. Not exactly. Maybe there is a need of communication between this your application and your DB. Let me use it. Okay. Now, what I want to show here is there is a resources of different resource groups can communicate with each other. Okay. So this is what the point here is. This is what, as for example, you have the different resource groups, and those resources can communicate with each other. Management group, we talked about management group, we talked about subscription. We talked about resource groups. Okay, so the point where resource can connect to resource in other resource groups, This is what I have shown. For example, you can have a web app that connects to a database in different resource groups. Okay. So again, and here in this case, I have shown database and application separately. That is possible that there is an app and databases are the part of different application resource groups, and then they can connect. That is also a possibility. Resources can be moved between resource groups. That is a possibility, right? You can move the resource from one, so you can change the resource group of a particular resource. So that is possibility. You can add anytime resource group can't be nested. This is important, right? You cannot have, as for example, you can say management, right? When you talk about this particular term here, right? You had the management groups, and management group was nested, right? There are 6 different levels possible within management group. That is not possible in resource group. Okay. Subscription, there cannot be subscription within. Subscription cannot be nested. Resources cannot be nested. The only thing that can be nested is management group. Why they talked about that resource group cannot be nested? Because the name is here again group. That's why they have specifically mentioned that. You will not get confused by that. You cannot have resource group within a resource group. So that's what that means, that resource group cannot be nested, and each resource must be in one and only one resource group. Okay, so resources cannot be shared across resource group. Okay, so now they talked about consider group by type. So they talked about some best practices, right? Like SQL, or the example that I have shown, and or different types of application, departments, and they talked about different strategies that you can do. And here again, as I said, throughout this process, we have seen that there is no kind of one size fits all. They talk about, whenever they talk about different possibilities, they talk about different scenarios where this can happen. Okay,
Hello.
I think we lost him again.
Mm. I could see he's in airplane mode.
hello.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. We can.
Okay. Yeah, there is basically a yeah. Okay, there was today, though the network is back, but I don't want to retry it so that it will again take some time. Okay, but anyways, let us talk a bit on tagging. Okay, so can you give an example where tagging comes into picture? Maybe from real life example, why you tag something, or
I'll give
if you can think about your IT.
we have a very good example actually. So we have a firewall in on-premises. Okay, that does this policy management. All the firewall rules and everything is tag based. Let's say I have an application. All the application VMs are tagged with certain tags, like okay, this is the application name, this is the environment they're part of, prod, not prod, and based on that, appropriate policies get applied to them. Firewalls. We don't use like IP addresses at all. It's all based on tags. So firewall.
Correct.
So that is one way.
Correct. Good example. Any other example? Anyone? This was Rajsekharan, right?
Yeah.
Jitendra. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was actually
So I
Jitendra.
mean.
Okay, this was Rajsekharan. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, tags can be, for example, if you want to classify into the multiple areas. For example, even the backup also, you don't need to add each single system, to the backup. Just classify the tags, and you just classify the tags in the backup. This is what I need to backup. So based on the tags, it go and search it, and it will backup. So wherever you want, you can use the tags wherever the thing. It's easy way of management, and also it differentiate that this is into the production, this is in a non-prod, and who's the cost center, all those things, different classifications you can put into that one. Kind
Correct.
of filtering
Exactly.
also, I can say that, yeah.
Exactly. One more example is that in a CI/CD pipeline, as for example, say GitLab or any pipeline where you are using some runners, right, to run, maybe uh, uh, for, you can say, Docker container, right, for running, a particular,
Mhm.
application. For that purpose, you have multiple runners are there, right? So in case one runner is not available, then based on the tagging, right, another runner will be used. So the runner with one tag, and then in pipeline you mention the tag, right? So when you develop your CI/CD pipeline, you mention, okay, that the tag as well. So based on that tag, runner tagged with that particular, say, um, tag will be picked. So I can mention that tag as part of the pipeline, or I can mention the tag as part of a script. So this way you can, the resources can be optimally utilized and will be picked as well, and can be shared across as well, right? Whatever that is free, and that is the advantage, right? When you talk about uh, cloud, right, it is like more on the ultimate utilization. Why? Because it has to be automated. It can be automated. You can, based on tag, you can move from one device to another, and it will not be like that one particular runner is getting used continuously and another is free. So to make sure that you have the utilization of maximum bandwidth, you use tagging there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that is important here is that you can tags cannot be cascaded down. As for example, you can tag a resource group. Also, you can tag resources, you can tag resource group. But that property of inheritance that we talked about when we talked about policy, we said that, okay, policies will be inherited by child from its parent. But in case of resource group, yes, you can tag it, but that tagging will not be cascaded down. Okay, that is important. It will not be inherited by its resources. So mostly when you tag resources and all, it will not be inherited by its child. So that is one of the thing that is important here. Point. Others are fine, you can have that, and they have given an example. You have where you can tag and all these things. So I'm just focusing on the areas, then things that you can go read and all that, that's okay. You can have the concept overall, you can have it, but overall I'm focusing on some scenarios where, okay, this is the thing that you need to think about more, and come out of the scenarios. Okay, consider it requires tagging, keep in mind and all that. Okay, so you can go through it. So now let us move up, because today, are you fine if we can go for 5 more minutes? Because we had a kind of shortened class due to my internet issues, maybe 5-7 minutes we lost. Okay, so you guys
Yeah.
are fine, or 5-7 minutes just to cover up? Yeah, I just want
Fine with
to
me.
kind of finish with kind of one logical unit, so that tomorrow you can go through it, we can discuss further a bit on that, and then we can have a go to the next module.
Sure.
Okay. Now the next thing that is the policy. Okay, so yes, we talked about some of the thing, right? Policies are the set of rules mostly, right? So um, it will like one of the thing that is important that are inherited down the hierarchy. So what I will suggest whenever you kind of that one the just there are kind of you can say materials which is there, not that much, but some of the point that is important you need to note it down, maybe somewhere, at least have some kind of quick things that can help you. Azure policy evaluates your resources and highlight resources that aren't compliant with the policies you are created. So overall you can say more on the compliance part when you have your particular resource is not following the rules within your so kind of that. So how to signal out the resources which is not following the policy that your particular thing have. So kind of a compliance. Okay, so Azure policy can prevent non-compliant resources from being created. Okay, so this is one thing in itself. You cannot create based on if it as for example, if your organization policy is saying that any virtual, you cannot create a virtual machine with more than 8 GB of RAM. You cannot do that. It is policy. Okay, so now it will prevent you when even and that prevention happens. It can be prevention or it can be detection further, so it depends on the policy that is created. It can be at the time of creation only. So when you are creating a resource, it cannot you cannot create resource with more than 8 GB under a particular subscription, maybe. So that limitation at the time of creation as well. Okay, the second thing is that okay, if not at the at time of creation, there may be some kind of you can say policy breach that can happen during runtime. Maybe what can happen during runtime, as for example, you want to install a particular software on the virtual machine, and maybe what happens, let us take an example again with my organization. In the virtual machine that we have on my desktop, for I cannot keep, policy says that I should save all those, my document on GitHub, or event development documents. Everything has to be on GitHub. I should not keep anything on my virtual machine because it can go down anytime. It doesn't take its backup and all. So the policy is this, that okay, you should not do that, and this is the way the policy has to be designed, and you should keep all your development work on daily basis, your backup and everything on before going to home to Git repo, GitHub, and then you should take the latest and then you can use, and then again once you go, you move it, all those you do the push to the Git repo. You are not doing it. uh, you are just keeping it on your documentation on your local. Fine. One fine day, after 10 days, you come, you open your developer desktop and everything is gone. Now you go to your you know Azure admin guy and everyone, that why this is gone. He says that there is a policy and that there is that implementation. Yes, at the runtime we haven't stopped you because you are going to do some temporary work, right, on that particular day. If I will not allow you to keep document on desktop, then how you are going to work? We have to provide you a kind of a time frame where you can keep your work there on your local machine, but we cannot provide you 2 weeks of time or 10 weeks of. We need to we have a policy that we do the cleanup, we reset all the things which is there on desktop after every 15 days maybe, or 7 days, whatever it is there with. So this kind of thing is called runtime policy that is there. So this is important. So remediate non-compliant resource. So integrates with Azure DevOps by applying pre-deployment and policies and all that.
To watch our complete session, enroll for our premium membership. Click onto the join button and enroll yourself with the best suited option.
We'll think about that. So things to consider, they have mentioned them for policies and all, and again go through it. Overall, these are the basic things that what you need to consider. We will maybe there are certain things we will talk later on, maybe specific to RBAC and all. So next thing is role based access. Overall, because let us continue our discussion. I don't want to do a lot of things in a day. There are still 1-2 parts left, but I don't want to stretch our session too much so that we will not be able to grasp the things. We will not be able to discuss, and we all will be waiting for the session to end. So instead of that, let us talk about, let us finish it off today. What I want you guys is that go through this whole set of that 11 units. Give me 1 minute. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So okay. So now let us design governance. Okay. So what the now what you need to do before the next session is go through this design governance part. Okay. At anything that if you have a confusion or anything, but go through this whole thing. It will the time that they suggested is 33 minutes. So you spend that 33 minutes. That is one thing that you have to do. And then if anything comes, we can discuss about that particular area. At the end of that, there is a knowledge check. Okay. So do that knowledge check. There are 4 questions, very good questions. So basically it will give you a kind of an idea where you are. So do that knowledge check. That is one thing. So overall 33 minutes spent on that. And then this is design authentication and authorization solution. This is again 36 minutes. Okay. So 33 plus 36. This consists of around 1 hour. So just go through that, have a reading, casual reading, that's okay. Even if you will not understand or kind of you think that you cannot remember things, doesn't matter, you don't need to cram thing around. You just need to kind of just go through, do a kind of a casual reading of this particular thing. Okay, just spend that time that is mentioned here, 36 minutes. Okay, so overall you spend 1 hour for this thing. First thing that this first part you need to go through a bit detail, just read it, try to understand overall whatever that is there. If you have any question, note it down, we will have a discussion on that. And then go through the second module. Is that fine? Can you do it?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I think we can.
Yeah, just 2
Yeah.
module I said, two things, 2 modules I said. So go through it. At any point of time, one of the rules that we have, I will like to have is we can cut down on. Okay, we can say no, we will do just 1 module, that's okay. Okay, second module we will not be able to do, or maybe we will be able to do that. Whatever we will final that, okay, just go through it. Okay, because it is ultimately we need to appear for certification, right? So and we have a time bound. So before we will finish the course only when you will pass the certification, kind of that. Okay, so it's not like we will finish it and then you will plan after 15 days or something. It will not happen like that. We need to plan the certification during the course of the session. Okay, so this is the plan, and that has to be before 31st of March for sure. Okay, so that's why I said whatever that we plan to complete, we need to complete it. I am fine if you can just do one module, that's okay, it's your pace. But once we decide that no, we will do this, we will have to finish it. Is it fine? Are you guys okay with that?
Yeah, I'm fine. Maybe in that case, let's target for one module for tomorrow and
Yeah, today's
see
module, that's
how
fine.
much
Today
time it
module,
takes.
today's module, one module, that's fine. That's what I'm saying, Instead
Hmm.
of, thinking about too many things together, do one thing. But whatever we decide, half an hour, okay, I'm fine with that. Whatever we decide, we need to finish it. Okay. In
Sure.
that way,
Got
we
it.
will be, kind of in line, and we will keep motivated. Otherwise, right, we may keep missing things and it will create problem. Ultimately, the goal is simple. We need to pass the exam, and this is not, believe me, this is not that easy exam. Neither 104 or not 305. Not that easy. You need to uh, uh, start thinking out of the box. Whatever scenario, you need to be very clear about the concept, because they will give one pager scenarios, and based on that you need to answer, and mostly it looks like all answers are same, kind of that. Even getting kind of 80% if you will target, it is uh, really they will give you a long scenarios. It will not be like one line objective kind of question. It will not be like that. So that's why we need to work kind of whatever we plan, right? We need to spend that time. 1 hour, that's okay, we will do. That's why I plan for daily sessions. Okay. And okay.
Along with that, you can access our other tutorials such as Docker, Ansible, Jenkins, Terraform, Splunk, AWS, Azure, and various other DevOps related premium tutorials with our channel membership. If you would have any issues with our channel membership, you can drop an email to us at contact@devopschool.com, or you can also unsubscribe from channel membership anytime if you don't want to continue or did not like the video. To get our channel membership, click onto the join button, select the $399 plan and grow your skills immensely. Please be kind enough to like it, and you can comment any of your doubts and queries. We will reply to them at the earliest. Thanks for watching.